Hello everyone, welcome back to me, myself, and Ifa. It's Ifa here, and I'm joined with some of my friends. This is the first episode of, what's it called? Classroom Convos. And essentially, we're just going to be discussing different socio-political... oh my god!
Just say topical.
We're going to be discussing topical issues. Before we start, I'll let them introduce themselves. So, I'm Ifa, and I'm studying Maths and Economics. We also all go to Warwick University.
I'm Femi and I study law.
I'm Timmy and I study biomedical science.
I'm Shay, sorry, I'm currently eating. I study sociology.
I'm Mohammed and I study history.
I'm Dion and I also do history.
Hi guys, my name's Dami and I study politics and sociology.
So today we're going to be discussing transracialism and kind of everything to do with that. The Urban Dictionary definition of transracialism is when a person who is born of one race makes the decision to become or represent themselves as another race. So this could be done with, if someone's say light-skinned or mixed race or biracial, they can pass as one of their races and solely that race and not be mixed race. Or in more extreme circumstances, someone can change their outward appearance to look like a different race. So obviously the first name that pops into everyone's head when they hear about transracialism is Rachel Dolezal. So I just want to ask you guys kind of like what you thought about that and like what your take was on the situation.
I think she's crazy. Fair, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't really know like where to start. It's just bizarre. I've never heard anything like it before.
I just want to know why.
Yeah.
Right? Why? What made her decide one day to be like, you know what? I'm feeling like I want to be black today. And then obviously that brings up the question of what does it mean to be black?
Yeah.
Which is like, oh, is it just a skin colour? And then is it all these different cultural norms? So yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird.
When it first happened, I was like, what on earth? Like, how dare she? How could she do this? Recently, she'll speak out on black issues. Obviously, no one really takes her seriously, but she's still like speaking out. She's still kind of like fighting on behalf of the culture. She's still kind of defending us and, you know, speaking out on issues that are involving us. I just find it kind of mad I find it a bit mad to be mad at her, because I'm just like, okay, well, you're speaking out, like, maybe you're a bit crazy, but like...
But like for me, like I said, it's the lie. Like, why does she lie? That's the issue. If she came up and she was like, yo, I'm white, I'm white as hell, but I F with you guys, like, I'm so for the black cause. Come, I will hug her, like, to get me. So why are you lying?
But if she like came out and was like, look, like, I don't feel white, right, as she said. Or when she introduced herself to people, she was like, yeah, I actually was born white, but you know, if she was honest about the transracialism, would you have as much of an issue with it?
If she came to me and was like, yo, I'm white, but I don't feel white. I mean,
no, because I feel like she'd have more privilege. Like, as a white woman, you're more likely to get listened to, obviously, if you speak out on black issues than a black woman. So I see why you kind of like not choose a side, but kind of like transform yourself into like a black person whose voice already is kind of like ignored, more or less. And then just like be like, you know what, I'm gonna fight for them, but as a black woman instead of like, you know, white privileged woman.
Do you think that she did it because like she wanted to feel involved? So because I feel like if she might have thought, oh, because I'm a white woman, even though I have or I want to help this cause, I feel that I'm on the periphery. And so maybe she thought, oh, if I try and
You have to like
black,
get in.
it's like an in room.
I completely get that point, because even though like, you know, we want everyone to speak out about, you know, black issues, but do you never get the sense that sometimes like when a white person does speak out, it's not received in the same way? Like there's some kind of negativity.
yeah, I feel like it was some of the black community.
Like if someone like speaks out, that's not.
What do you mean?
So if a white person speaks out about black issues, sometimes it's not as well received.
I feel like with some members of the black community, they like, some people just don't really want to see white people talking about black issues anyway. But for me, it's a case of like, so she was white and she feels black. That's the thing. So she has a choice. What if one day she decides, actually, I don't want to be black? She can go back to white. Whereas black people, we can never go back to being white. We're always black. Do you understand? So if she really identified with our struggles, she would understand that like being black is not a choice. You are born black. Do you understand? So like.
That's what annoyed a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, because she has that choice.
She has a choice.
So is that what it is?
Turn around and just be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm not feeling the struggle today.
Let me just be white today.
One job is to
get a bit long.
white before, you know, a part to show up as black. I'm so sorry.
The whole situation with her reminded me kind of like a diluted version of the whole period that Miley Cyrus went through where she just felt like she wanted to just tap into
The culture.
black culture. Because obviously, I don't know, black culture is seen as kind of like cool.
Cool,
and
edgy.
A bit like, ooh, like what's
that?
there?
But I think
you know
they
what
try
I
and make her like culture a trend sometimes, like in everything. So like that was her like trend at the moment, like 2, 3. What song was that? What song was it?
21.
Yeah, that's it.
It was cool.
But I think so. Do you guys think that the issue is?
It's all good.
Do you guys think that the issue is that it's because it's one-sided? So if I wanted to now identify as a white woman, I couldn't. Like if I was telling everyone, so that's kind of where the issue lies.
Well, it sort of all draws into the issue of like colorism. So some people, you know, there's like a lot of issue of bleaching skin, etc. And so some people might bleach their skin, not necessarily to become white, but sort of to push themselves away from like the perception that people have of people with dark skin. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you guys think that transracialism would be a thing in pre-civil rights America?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, like
No
not
way.
saying that
Absolutely
she's
not.
doing
No
it
way.
because, you know,
That's the thing.
that's exactly
That's
which is
an
what's
argument.
pissing a lot of people off. Like
Yeah.
you're doing it because now it's cool to be black. What if
Fair.
like tomorrow everyone's like, you know what, we're gonna deny these people their rights. Go back to, you know, how
I'm
things were
like,
before.
I'm very much.
Where would she lie? Like
That's a
That's a
very
very
interesting
good point.
question. I think the difference between Rachel and people who kind of tap into the culture is that it was constant, as in people around her thought she was black. Well, I don't know. I'm sure some of them might have questioned like her origins, but people around her thought she was black. So it didn't really seem like a kind of like trendy thing. It seemed like she was like involved. You know, she was working with the NAACP. Like she wanted to fight for us, and she's, even though she's been caught, she's kind of still doing that. So that's why like the whole kind of trend thing, I don't think applies to her
I feel
necessarily.
like I don't agree, because I feel like it's still a trend thing, because like when she gets, like, obviously she got caught, but she's not going to be like, okay, now I've been caught, I'm going to stop doing it, because she'd get dragged for filth.
Yeah, true.
She's just doing it. I feel like it's just an image thing, and it's just, okay, cool, it's cool to be black, let me do this, let me tell the media I'm doing this, let everyone have their eyes on me, I'm helping black people, I'm doing this. Like, what is it with the NACC? I don't even know.
To me, I feel like it's a case of where nowadays it's better to seem like you're actually helping than actually doing the help yourself. I feel like that's because I can't really imagine what she could really be doing with the NACCP.
But her only she was doing that before she got caught, and then she wasn't famous before she got caught. So this is why I'm like struggling to kind of accept the whole trend thing, because she got found out. She wasn't like parading. Like she wasn't famous. No one knew who she was.
I don't think you necessarily do it to be famous. You just do it to be part of the trend. Like,
yeah, true.
Just to
you're just
fit
a
in.
part. Exactly.
Exactly.
Just a bit.
Fit
Okay,
in.
cool. Like,
I would add a spin on it. People come from different backgrounds, people come from different stories, they have different stories, different narratives, etc. And to some extent, considering that, I feel a little bit sorry for Rachel, because I can't necessarily empathize with her. I've never had the urge to be part of a different race, so I feel like there's something underlying or rooted within her story that could be encouraging the sort of actions that she wants, and with that understanding, you kind of you just kind of feel sorry for
I don't know. I wouldn't want to take that. I feel like that's a bit of an easy way out for her, because I feel like if this was a black person that did this, he would not be giving them this easy. Like the media would absolutely slate her. Like, they would say she's crazy, she's this, mental illness, blah blah. Like they would absolutely ridicule her. Because it's a white woman, in a sense, we're like, oh no, there's got to be some underlying. I mean, there has to be an issue there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't.
You want to like.
You want to
you want to
humanize
her. Yes.
The problem. And I wouldn't
But
want
at
to.
the same time, but like she lied. Like she literally changed her entire life. That is the problem. Do you understand? Like her entire family, she isolated from her entire family. There's something deeper there.
But then this is like all the things kind of coming out seem like the issue isn't with transracialism in itself. It's kind of like the way she went about it. So A, that she was deceitful, and B, that she was like allowed to do it.
Yeah.
So like if, for example, Mohammed, you're Somalian, right?
I'm Somali,
But I think you don't.
Yeah, I'm Somali.
I really thought you were Egyptian this whole time.
That's the thing.
And so
I just always feel.
that's so random.
And so that reaction, like you didn't think he was Somalian. So if he's kind of like living his life not really looking, you could say passing, even though if you asked him, he wouldn't say. Would you have such an issue with that?
That's the thing. Like,
would you?
Would people have a problem if it's someone who doesn't look Somali like myself, or like if it's someone who doesn't look black like myself? If I identify as being black, would that be so much as a problem? Or like, why is it not seen as a problem? Whereas, say if I tried, or if Rachel Dolezal tries to portray herself as black, why is that seen as so much more of a problem than someone else who is actually black but doesn't look black? Like, where do you draw the line, sort of?
Let's put ourselves in the context of America, because we can't relate, because obviously we're not in
Yeah.
America. But let's put ourselves in the context of America, right? And a lot of black Americans see white people as the oppressor.
Yeah.
And for you, people have a voice. Like, there's no, like, you could say, fair enough, women don't have a voice, but they have more of a voice than black men do. White women have more of a voice than black men do. So white women have a voice, they have privilege, and they have the ability to make impact, and they have the ability to make people listen. And for you to kind of like, you know, because it's cool to be black, for you to kind of like, you know, leave that position of privilege and be like, you know what, I'm going to go back, not backwards, but I'm going to kind of like, what's the politically correct word to use? No. Okay, I'm going to become a black person who has pretty much no voice, no form of privilege in my country, just because, I mean, I guess it's cool, then obviously that's kind of jarring. Do you know what I mean? Like, whereas as a black, exactly, it's so condescending.
I have a question.
Ooh, love it.
Can you equalize transracialism with transsexual?
No.
Transgender.
No.
Okay, now we need to discuss this. We need to discuss it.
No.
We need to discuss it because
Definitely not.
the whole reason why I kind of brought this up as a topic was because of an article I came across that was kind of like defending transracialism, and it said if we're in this kind of world now where it's okay to be anything, like, you know, people are becoming more accepting, and if people have woken up one day and said that their inside doesn't match their outside, this essentially is the same thing that Rachel is saying, but there's outrage here and there's acceptance here. So I'm sure Shay seems quite passionate about this.
No, because like, it's almost like a slap in the face to do so, because like, we were talking about it earlier, transgenderism, from my point of view, from what I've learned, I may not know obviously as much as a trans person does, or people with more experience, but from what I know and from what I've learned, transgenderism comes as a result of gender stereotypes and the fact that there's a gender binary and people feel, okay, I don't fit into this binary, so I'm going to do this. And it's not kind of like transracialism where literally you are black, like your skin color is black, your skin color is white. You can't be like, you know what, like, I'm just going to do that just because. Whereas with transgenderism, first of all, like, gender is socially constructed, ethnicity isn't. Like someone decided, okay, one day someone woke up and was like, okay, if you have a penis, you act like this. If you have a vagina, you act like this. And there's 6 billion people in the world that it's almost impossible for everyone to fit into that binary. So obviously people don't fit into that binary, but you do fit into the, you know, black skin color, white skin color, or brown skin color, any other thing. Like, it's just, they're two completely different things.
Just
like,
to reply to
even equate it.
that with the like you fit in, it's becoming a lot less. There's like the spectrum is like growing. Can I say the spectrum is expanding? There are people who like don't actually fit into this like white, black, brown box. Like, there's so many different colors and there's so many, like, it's literally a spectrum. So I was having a conversation with someone the other day who was saying that, you know, maybe she's quarter black, but she appears white, and they were saying that, you know, how can she like try and be part of the culture and try and like be doing Afro swing and Afro bashment with notes, and it's like, okay, but Mabel, essentially. And so it's like, okay, well, how can you say that you're only quarter black and you appear white, so therefore you can't do it? Like,
I think what's different is that like race is like not even race, because race is socially constructed as well. Like, ethnicity is ethnicity. Your skin color is your skin color. Like, it does not change unless you bleach it. It's still like your parents are still black, your parents are still white, and it's the same across like time and space. It's always been the same. It's always been, you know, like, it is what it is kind of thing. It's a factual thing. Whereas gender, it fluctuates, and there's just so many different aspects that contribute to it. Like, people can change their gender as they get older.
With this debate, I think it's a bit of a semantic issue as well, because what do we define gender as? Like, there's so much variation in the ways that we define gender, which inevitably leads to contradictions and all kinds of things, which makes it very difficult to argue.
I think
certain
just
positions.
like based on like the sex, gender, race thing, I think it's that like we could kind of put sex and race on the same kind of thing, because it's what you're saying, like you're not, you're born with that, whereas gender is fluid and actually is socially constructed.
Let's say it like this: to a biologist, well, gender might be viewed in a completely different light to someone who's a sociologist. Now, a sociologist would take into consideration the social sort of influences on gender, but a biologist would reduce it basically to your basic anatomy, so your reproductive organs, your genetics, etc. And they would use that as a determining factor for what is gender. So this is why I say it's a semantic.
And also, like, I feel like it's kind of linked to how, like, I see some people on Twitter kind of like link the, don't get me wrong, like, LGBTQ rights are so important, like, do not even get me wrong. But I sometimes see people trying to equate that to, like, race and, like, racism and homophobia to racism. And I'm not saying one is of less importance than the other. I just feel like to kind of, like, put them on the same level is to sort of undermine all the struggles that black people have been through.
Definitely, I definitely agree. And I think it's because, like, if you, like, look at someone, right, so you don't know someone, the first thing you see, like, might be their gender or their race, whereas, like, you'd have to, like, talk to them to find out if they were LGBTQ plus. So it's like if someone's getting stopped in search or like receiving issues like based on either being a woman or a man or being black, white or any other colour, they're not in control of that.
And you don't get profiled, like you don't.
It's just you don't get profiled based on your. No, I think it needs to be addressed though, because while we're not saying that we're not undermining LGBTQ plus issues, and we're not saying that they don't need to be fought for, but you have to understand like that there are levels to it, and it's like based on kind of what you see. And this is the same thing with like disability and ability as well. There's like so many different layers. So I think that while we can fight for everything, like don't get me wrong, we actually need to fight for everything, because like, you know, there's a lot of things still wrong with the world. You can't undermine other people's struggles that they cannot control. Not that you can control your sexual preference, but you can control if someone knows that or not.
Since we're on the topic of transgenderism, I just want to ask you a question. I saw recently in America they were saying that apparently now they'll be forcing doctors to put, I think on the birth certificates, the children as X. So not male, not male or female, just as X. And I wanted to get your opinion on that. Like, what do you think of?
First of all, I feel like it's a kind of thing where I don't know if it's a compulsory thing, because I guess like it should be the choice of the parent. I don't see how the doctor should have any say on what gender, like, I don't know. But I feel like to an extent, like, it does kind of help, because in one of my seminars last year we were talking about how whether or not sexism would exist if there weren't gender stereotypes, and whether or not, you know, like transphobia and like even to an extent homophobia and like toxic masculinity, to an extent they wouldn't exist if there weren't gender stereotypes. And these gender stereotypes start from birth. Like, okay, on that paper you have M, and your parents are like, okay, it's a guy, I'm going to get him this toys, I'm going to put him into a sports school, I'm going to make him pursue this career and do this and
even
do that.
Like before the birth, like those stupid like gender reveal.
Exactly.
I actually think they're so dumb.
And from then they're like, okay, cool, he's going to be stereotyped without even thinking about it. You do it subconsciously, and the child themselves has no say on what kind of person they are.
I think that particularly because I want to be a doctor, I think that it can be good.
Hire him!
I think that for medicine, I think that is quite important. Being able to progress with the way that society is moving, it's very much central to a doctor's practice. Being able to see different perspectives. And keep up with the modernization of society. And so in that case with transgenderism, there are certain things that a physician may need to consider. And having this sort of liberal approach and could help with the progression of medicine, I think.
I agree. I feel like more time, sorry I'm talking there, I feel like I feel like natural scientists and social scientists need to work together for a more progressive world, because there's literally this whole fight about, like, even when it comes to gender, like natural scientists are like, no, like there's only male and female, no, we can't have this, but social scientists are like, no, you need to think outside the box, etc. And there's just this huge fight, and it's just a complete mess. I just feel like, I don't know, hopefully our generation changes that.
Yeah.
On another note,
Definitely.
Seriously,
cool.
go for it.
Basically, I was going to bring up the
For life.
issue of, I think we're missing a nuance of like intersectionality. So you can be black and you can be transgender. So I think
Exactly.
that's
That's
definitely
really
missing from
important.
this conversation. at the
Yes,
moment.
you're so right.
Yeah.
You're so right.
Like Tim was saying, it's all semantics, because how do you... It's just a way of phrasing it and being able to say it. So is it the issue of, do we have to go after every sort of oppression and get rid of all those oppression, like those systems of oppression together? Or is it just you focus on one more than the other? So do you focus on the racial tensions more so at this moment in time because it seems more prevalent to the majority of people's lives, or do you focus on the lives of LGBTQ people? And I just feel like you can't have one struggle without the other, because they're all systems of oppression. So
My sister will literally be in love with you. Like, this is all she talks about, like intersectionality.
It's really important. I completely
It is,
agree,
yeah.
honestly. Because like we're talking, okay.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very important question. Like, do we address these things separately, or do we tackle them together? And I think you can't actually tackle them together because the world is so intersectional. So that is an interesting point, but at the same time, while tackling them together, we still need to understand that some struggles are more struggle.
The thing is that I don't.
Then again, that's
I don't-
completely subjective.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't like the idea of like a struggle Olympics.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I was like, oh, my struggle's bigger than yours, or
That's
your
it.
struggle's
Yeah,
bigger
that's
than
a
mine.
bit-
Because it just, but like, it literally becomes competition, and then you sort of defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
I do get that. I do get
Yeah,
that.
it's like you're not trying to invalidate other people's struggles.
No, that's not what I meant.
No, I know that's not what you meant, but I'm just trying to say that. Sorry, I know that's
For
not what you
example,
meant,
like
but
to a trans person, they'd be like, quite frankly, like a white trans person, like depending on how woke they are, quote unquote, they'd
Yeah.
be like, what's my business with Black Lives Matter? I'm trying to, you know, face my own struggle. But obviously they'd think transgenderism and the fight for acceptance of it is more important than Black Lives Matter.
I get that, but I think we need to like get away from this point that we need to be, like feel a struggle to want to fight the struggle. More men talking about feminism, and we need more white people talking about racism. The point you were making before about like your privilege is that when Lord spoke about one thing, she got like retweets, blah blah blah.
What are they about?
Lord the Singer, Royals, and also Melodrama. Actually, a fantastic album. Listen to it. Lord.
You want to be?
You listen to Lord.
Yeah, I listen to Lord. She's actually good. She spoke about something, everyone was kind of like championing her. And then I think, what's her name? L'Oreal, she got dropped from L'Oreal. Monroe, yeah, she said the exact same thing and got dropped from a campaign. So like, while we don't want it to be this way, I think we still definitely do need more people who aren't experiencing a struggle to talk out and talk in favour, or kind of fight in favour of the struggle.
No, I think it's, I know exactly what you're trying to say. The only problem is that a lot of people like suffer from compassion fatigue, whereby they're faced with so many struggles on a daily basis. They're like, oh, you know what? Yeah, if I care about anyone's, then I don't have to worry. Like, I don't have this problem at all. So it's kind of. I know exactly what you mean.
But you're just mean like people
it's
don't
just
care.
difficult. It's difficult for people to care about everyone at the same time. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, I guess then it becomes even more difficult to get rid of this idea of the struggle Olympics, because no, but like people like they might select one and be like, okay, you know what, I feel like I'm gonna back this one, or I'm gonna back this one, etc. And you can be for as many struggles as you want, but I believe that even if you're for every struggle in the world, there are obviously some that you're going to place emphasis on over others. So it's really difficult to address.
I once tweeted something because it just seemed that like everyone kind of had their thing, like, hey, you're Black Lives Matter, yeah, you're a feminist. And I was like, if you're running a three-legged race, right, and someone's slower, you're not going to win. Do you get what I mean?
Where's
Wait,
this going?
what?
No.
Let her finish. Listen,
Look,
listen.
I mean, I was kind of finished, but I'll show you. If you have, okay, you have a three-legged race, right? You have three people, right? You have, so say the two first people are Usain Bolt and Johan, even though he's not that fast anymore. Yeah, Johan Blake.
Alright, yeah.
But the last person is saying me. They can be as fast as they want, so like, but they're progressing fast and fast and faster. But I'm dragging them behind because I'm slow. So if you like, you know.
Is anyone getting it?
Wait, you're dragging Johan behind?
No, oh my gosh,
So a three-legged race has two people.
Okay, let's say it has three people.
Oh
my god.
Start again.
Okay, fine. Three-legged race, two people. It's me and it's Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt is a lot faster than me.
Okay.
So he can be as fast as he wants,
Okay.
but if he has me in his team, he's still not going to win.
Of course.
And so let's apply this to society and say, okay, we still don't get it.
No.
As a society, it's saying the struggles. Let's say it's an 8-legged race. I'm saying 8 struggles and whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If one's going fast, but the other's slow, you're not.
Yeah.
Society's not going to progress because there's still going to be this thing lagging behind.
Essentially, she's saying that issues in society need to be acknowledged equally.
But the issue with that is,
But it's not quite equal.
because in a three-legged race, like you're tied together for like whatever you need the other person in
you're
order to
working
win,
together.
in order to like reach the finishing line. But with all these struggles, somebody who's like trans and white can finish the finishing line without a black person. They don't need us.
But I'm talking about society though. Rather than the people, like rather than
society in itself.
Yeah.
Fair enough, but people are selfish. Like
That's what I'm trying to say.
humans are
People are
inherently
selfish.
so selfish.
Like, if you just might not want to feel compassionate towards anyone, you might just be like, fuck it. I'm about me. And
And
forget
so
about
it
everyone
does
else,
mean.
you know what I mean?
I don't know.
So,
Yeah.
For example, like even in England, like a rich white man who has everything going well for him, is privileged in the fact that he's rich, he's white, he's a man, cis, heterosexual man. Let's make it as privileged as it gets. What's his business fighting for black trans women, Muslim women, black trans women, Muslim women?
Bad.
You know, like I mean, no, it's not. I mean, you call it selfish, but I mean, like everything's going well for him. He's not going to try and be like,
Because he's not
let me
affected by
go
any of the
campaign.
struggles. I doubt that anybody in his circle or family are facing any of those issues. He's probably thinking,
He's
my
like,
life,
you know what?
my life is
Exactly.
calm. Like,
it could be ignorant.
I mean, it's not a good thing. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't do that.
Yeah, but I think that just highlights how, like, so it's really us, like, I think that just highlights how much we need to, like, not be quiet, as in, like, even if, like, another black man gets shot, sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is just normal now.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be, like,
when you become
exactly. But we, like,
desensitized
we're
to
not where we need to be at all. Even if we don't get there before I die, the days I have left, I'm, like, want to devote it to fighting for not just my struggle, because I'm privileged to struggle in a sense. I can kind of understand that other people struggle, do you know what I mean? Whereas this white man, like, he's calm. So I think it just highlights how much we do need to speak out about these issues and, like, not have it with the Kim Kardashian's braids thing. I think people were just kind of, like, used to Kim Kardashian trashing the culture, and so, like, people were very silent about it. Like, huh?
Yeah, I
saw
saw
the
one
dumbest
tweet. Let me
tweet.
find it.
I hope you're watching this. Your tweet was
Let me
dumb.
find it.
Ife's point, I think that's really important that people speak out because, and I'm going to refer back to Rachel, when people speak out, people get to understand other people's stories and narratives. And that's when you can begin to empathize. Sympathize, empathize, and you can reflect on it and think, okay, I can understand where they're coming from.
But at the same time, like, people been speaking out. Like, people have been
Sometimes
speaking out.
people just don't want to
Do
listen.
you understand? People don't want to listen. What if you see literally the news of like the 10th black child being shot for no reason? How much more how much more do you need to feel empathized? Do you understand? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
But I think we have to also understand from, like,
sorry.
a more positive kind of view that, like, we're not where we started. I think people often forget because we're not where we need to be and we're not where we should be, but we're not where we started. And the reason why we're not where we started is because of, like, more people speaking out. Like, about 4 years ago, I wasn't woke. I didn't know shit.
But at the same time, you were also young. You were also young.
Not really.
4 years ago, how old were
14.
you?
And then, like, when I look at what my brother knows and what I knew, there's a difference there. My brother's 13, and there's a huge difference there because I think people are becoming, like, more what's it called? I think.
Aware.
Socially
aware.
Do you guys go on social media? Socially aware.
But my issue, my issue at the same time is this kind of, like, sheep shepherd thing on social media. Like, you see the first thing about a black guy shot, it gets one retweet, you scroll past. A day later, you see it has all these more retweets. You're retweeting.
But at
oh
the
my
same
gosh,
time, with
how could this happen?
The things, something like that. You know when they were doing the Libya slave, remember when they were doing the Libya slave trade, right?
Yeah.
And when I first saw it, because I don't like retweeting things that I don't know where the source is. I don't like, because I feel like once I retweet something, I'm endorsing it. Like, I need to know that it's come from a credible source. Do you understand? So the reason why I scroll past some things, because I think it's like, is that really real? Because a lot of things are actually fake. That's the thing. I need to know that it's actually from a family.
It's true. Remember that issue with that whole guy that was being bullied, that Keaton. When I first saw it, I definitely scrolled past. It wasn't touching me. Like, my heart was feeling. You know, I was feeling. So when I saw that Transracial, there was a reason why they did it. I knew there was a reason why I just scrolled past. No, it's true. It has to be from the credible.
And then this is like really off topic, but you know that Will Smith video of the one where he's like, "Why don't my dad love me, man?"
And then I saw this tweet, and someone said it was improvised. His dad was like a general in the army, like he's like middle class, whatever.
I was gonna say Twitter is like.
It's just a whole different life.
What's the word? It's conducive to like false activism.
Also stupidity.
Exactly.
Can I
so much false
Can I please read one tweet out?
Did you hear that? Guys, he's not on social media.
Sociality as well.
He's social what?
You can take it to your mum.
So basically, you know the whole Kim K thing, how obviously the whole issue there was not that she had the braids, but that it was cultural appropriation because she had attributed the braids to a white woman when it's just, that's not just literally that's, do you understand? So somebody, obviously people are tweeting about that. Someone now tweeted, oh god, it was like a black man. It was, he wear Western originated gowns, jackets, jeans, perfume, and human hair. But when a white person braids her own hair, you start crying. Always chatting breeze with your disguised racism and inferiority complex.
Report that tweet as harassment.
What on earth? All I'm saying is, if you're dumb, just don't tweet. If
I
you're
said
not
it's like they were talking about cows, and my guy came to talk about cars.
I guess because like social media activism or whatever, everyone feels like they have to say something. Everyone's like, you know what? I'm just gonna open my mouth, whether it's utter trash or not, whether or not I even believe it. I'm just gonna tweet it.
I think the problem here is that just because you have a right to do something doesn't mean that you should do it.
Retweet.
I mean,
yeah, I think that is a great way to link back to our topic. So, continue.
I mean, you may have freedom of speech, you may have all these entitlements, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you should act on, that in a bad way. I think you have a duty to ensure that you are using that freedom with respect.
Just to conclude off Timmy's point about even if you have freedom to do something, you shouldn't. For me, I'd say that just to link back to Rachel Dolezal, she does have the freedom to do this, but she used her freedom in the wrong way, in the sense that she should have used kind of her white privilege. If you still want to be about the culture and fight for it, you should have done that from your position of white privilege, because it's a lot more effective, whereas on the other way, it's kind of like you're kind of mocking us and, as you said, patronising. So, I hope you thought this was interesting. Comment what you think below. Like this video.
What can I say? I've always wanted to say like, comment, subscribe, and all of that crap.
Alright, you want to marry Timmy? Subscribe.
Everyone,
we have no social media, so write him a letter.
He's my housemate. Yeah, me, I'll link you.
Dion, Mohammed and I are going to different countries in Africa this summer to volunteer and teach. So Dion's going to Ghana, Mohammed's going to Tanzania, and I'm going to Sudan Afrique. So South Africa. I speak French. I want to link our Just Giving pages in the description. £1,000 would be great, but I
have some website, female orientated, for the women of colour, or just women, I guess, depending on my mood. It's for women with a voice, and it's just a movement, and it's an amazing space.
Classroom Convos, guys. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more coming.
No. I'm on your phone. I hate all of you.
We're bringing that back to 2018. Right. Oh my God.